My name's Alan Armijo. I do the marketing for North American Transportation, Wayne Schooling. I've been doing the marketing for a while. This is our first attempt at a webinar to talk about the services that North American Transportation has. Wayne, unfortunately, is under the weather. He sounds pretty bad, so we told Wayne that we would handle it for him. He might be on at some point, but for now, it's just me and Cisco. And Cisco Gonzalez is the NTA senior loan processor. He's been processing, there you are, Cisco. He's been processing loans for North American Transportation for a couple of years now. Some of you on the chat or on this webinar might have already worked with him. But just as a little bit of housekeeping, at the end of Cisco's presentation, you can ask questions using the chat. I know there's one person driving, so be careful out there, but everybody else can just chat your messages privately to the host, and Cisco will get that and can respond. So let me introduce Cisco Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon if you're East Coast. It's still morning over here in California time. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to just give you a quick background about where I come from and what I do. My background is in commercial banking. I've worked with big banks like Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo for 14 years. And 3 years ago, I decided to move on and do something different because the banking industry was just getting difficult to get approved or to help my clients get approved for a business loan. So we decided to start this venture where we help the transportation industry because it's needed. A lot of the transportation companies are considered high risk with your traditional lenders. And that's what we focus on. We know the industry, we know the business, and we've been helping the transportation industry. So about 90% of our loans that we fund are in the transportation trucking industry. So you're working with experts here, and just wanted to give you that quick introduction. But let's go ahead and get started on the different loan programs because we only have 25 minutes here, and we'll open it up at the end for questions. One of the programs that we have here is the SBA Express loan. This loan is actually one of the best ones to help you refinance a lot of your equipment. So if you're paying maybe $1,500 here, $1,800 here, $2,500 here, with different equipment loans or truck loans, we can help you refinance all your equipment into one payment. The loan is for 10 years. And the loan amounts are from $35,000 to $200, and actually that's actually $350. It should be $350. And this is the Express loan. Interest rate is 7.25% APR. There's no prepayment, so even though it's 10 years, you can pay it off in 3 years or 2 years, and there's no penalty. And most SBA loans, if you're working with a traditional bank, they will ask to take your house as collateral. With this particular SBA loan, it doesn't take your house as collateral, so one of the advantages. So down here, you're going to see an example of what a payment would look like on a $100,000 loan. Your monthly payment would be for $100,000 over 10 years, 7.25% APR. It's $1,174. So this is really good, and for what's really out there as far as the industry. The minimum requirements on this program, you have to have the business established 2 years with tax returns. And then anybody owning 20% or more of the business must be a U.S. citizen or legal resident. And 20% or more of the owners must have 670 FICO score for this program. So this one requires a higher credit score. So if you meet those requirements, 2 years in business, 670 FICO score, and then no bankruptcies or foreclosures in the past 3 years, this would be something to consider. paperwork required for this loan is 2 years tax returns, business and personal. We do need a business debt schedule, just a list of debts that you have pending for the business. And then on this program, we do need a profit and loss and balance sheet no older than 90 days. So this is kind of like where some people have a problem, because most transportation companies, they just go work off of their tax returns year after year. But with this program, it does require a profit and loss and balance sheet. So you may have to work with an accountant or CPA to get that. And it has to be no older than 90 days. So that's kind of like something to work towards. But this is one of the best options. Anyway, funding for this program is usually between 3 to 6 weeks, depending if you can get all the paperwork in. So now, if you don't qualify yet, maybe you don't have 2 years in business, if you don't have 670 credit score, we do have other options available, so which is called alternative financing. The next program is called the True Business Loan Program. And the reason we call this one the True Business Loan Program is because that's what it is. It is a true business loan. It can help you build credit for the business. And at the end of the year, you get like a 1098 interest expense where you can use it as a deduction on your tax return. This is a short-term program, so usually people use this for repairs, maybe a down payment towards to buy another truck. This loan amounts are from $6,000 up to $250,000. The interest rate on this one is 9.25%, and it could go up depending on credit. There's no prepayment penalty, so you can pay this loan sooner, although it's already a short-term loan. It's usually between 9 months to 15 months, depending on what it comes back as far as an approval. But this is one of the best programs to start with, so it's a good starter loan program. It helps you build credit for the business, and it doesn't show up on your personal credit. So it's a good idea if you have an LLC or corporation, you want to start separating your business credit. A lot of people start with credit cards, personal credit cards to fund the business. So some people use this loan to transfer that debt from the credit cards over to the business credit. So just some ideas on how people use this program. These payments are either weekly or bi-weekly, depending on what it comes back on the approval with the underwriters. So just keep that in mind, that it's not like a traditional monthly payment program compared to the SBA. But like I said, it's a starter program, so we can start here and then graduate eventually to the SBA Express. On this one, the minimum requirement is 1 year in business. Annual revenues, we need at least 100,000 on the annual revenues. This one only requires 50% ownership, and you must have at least 500 credit score. So maybe you have 2 owners. One of them has good credit, and the other one has maybe not so good credit. And we always want to use the one with the good credit. But keep in mind, it doesn't report to their personal credit, so we're only using them as to get the approval on the business loan. On this program, we can't take any bankruptcies or foreclosures in the past 3 years, and then no more than 8 overdraft fees in the last 3 months. So just minimum requirements here. And then paperwork required compared to the SBA, this one is very minimal paperwork, so 3 months bank statements and the 1-page application. And then this one only takes usually 2 to 3 days to get money in your bank account. So like I said, this is good starter program, and something that's going to be done fast with less hassle. So this is the True Business Loan. If you're looking to buy equipment, then we do have equipment financing. This is the equipment financing here. We can go 3 years up to 5 years on the term, and loan amounts from $10,000 up to $500,000. Interest rate is 6% plus, so depending on credit, so it can go higher than that. No prepayment penalties, and we can finance up to 100% if the credit is strong enough. we can finance new and used equipment. Sometimes, most lenders they want to finance maybe 2014 or higher sleeper trucks. On ours, we can actually finance older equipment. So something to consider. Interest is tax deductible under Section 179. It's just the benefit of getting equipment financing rather than paying for it in cash. Funding usually takes 3 to 4 days. And then the minimum requirement for this program is 1 year in business with tax return. And then you have to have 620 credit score or higher. And then no bankruptcies or foreclosures in the past 12 months. So that's the equipment financing program. The next one is the line of credit. So if you're just, maybe you don't need funding now, but you want to have a backup, this line of credit, business line of credit, is a good option to have, and you only pay interest if you draw from it. So you start paying once you draw from that line of credit. On the line of credit, we have a few different options, and we can go up to 100,000 on those options, depending on what you produce or generate on the monthly revenue. But we can go up to 100,000, and if you need more, we can sometimes do 2 different lines of credit to try to get you enough of a credit limit. Interest rate on that one is usually around 9.25% plus, depending on credit again. And we only pay interest when you draw funds. This one also helps you build credit for the business, and it doesn't show up on your personal credit. Another of the highlights here. Payments are done weekly or biweekly, and that's pretty much it for the some of the programs here. We do have other options, so you can go to the website on NTA's website and just kind of look at other options. But now we're going to talk about most common reasons why the banks or finance companies decline a loan. And this is just from experience, when we get an application, and this is sometimes what we get back. So common reasons is FICO score is too low. So we talked about 500 minimum is the credit score requirement. Another reason is it has to do with credit is recent delinquency. So if you have late payments that are recent, like past 3 months or 90 days, then this is something that is going to it's going to be an issue, because the bank is going to consider that high risk. You're not paying your debt, and it's not going to show that you're going to be able to pay this loan. So just something to consider. If you do have late payments, try to wait maybe at least 12 months before applying. So just a recommendation. Next is too many NSFs, so too many overdraft fees. So usually if you have more than 8 in the last 90 days, then it is considered lack of maintaining a proper account. So just something to consider. We do have programs where we can take more than 8 overdraft fees, but it's only in selected states. It's only available in 30 states. But you can see that on the NTA website. Another reason is not enough deposits. So if we're looking for 5,000 or more in gross deposits on your monthly bank account. So some people say, we have the settlement reports, or we have the factoring report. We only go off of what gets deposited in the bank account. So we need minimum 5,000 in gross deposits. It doesn't have to be a balance of 5,000, but just gross deposit. And then a minimum of 5 deposits per month. So sometimes this could be an issue if you're getting paid maybe biweekly, or if you're getting paid once a week. If you have multiple checks coming in, you want to deposit them at different times, because we always want to have a minimum of 5 deposits. And the reason the banks do that is because they want to see that there's different sources of income coming in, right? Different sources of, I know you're producing different jobs, but they want to see different sources coming in, because usually they see 1 deposit a month, and if you lose that job, then they may consider that, that your business may go down if you lose that 1 job or that 1 deposit. So that's why they like to see five deposits minimum. Next is average ledger balance. So preferably we want to see 1,000 average over the last 3 months. Sometimes we see statements where they're ending in negative balance. So that's where the issue comes in. We want to see at least preferably around 1,000 average in the last three months. And so we did talk about some states require businesses to be established 1 year. We can get around that if you have an old Schedule C or 1099. So for example, if you established your corporation or LLC July of 2017, and today is March 2018, so we're not at the 1 year mark. And the way we can get around that is if you have an old Schedule C, maybe you were an independent, you were getting paid independently back in 2013 or 2010, we just have to show that tax return showing as a Schedule C, so we can show that you've been in the industry for longer than a year. And then I can present that to the underwriter, and then the underwriter will say, okay, this is good. You've been in the industry longer than a year. So that's how we can get around that 1 year minimum requirement. So that's pretty much it. We just kind of wanted to get on this call, first call of the year, to go over some of these loan programs, and we'll be having more down sometime this year, but I'm just going to open it up for questions now, just to see if anybody has any questions or anything I can clarify. Maybe I've already worked with you, talked to you over the phone, but you know, if you have any questions, you can call me or you can call Wayne. I process all the loan applications that go through the NTA loan program. And usually what we do is, as soon as I get the application bank statement, we do a soft credit check. And then once we do the soft credit check, we just look at different options. So at that time, I'll call you back and I would say, okay, we can start with the preferred loan program, or we can start with the true business loan program. Or if you've been in business longer than 2 years and credit is really good, maybe we can start with the SBA program. So all we need is 3 months bank statements and the application to get started. And then at that time, I'll present any options that you may have. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can go to the website here, is www.ntassoc.com. And you can just click on business loan programs, and then it'll give you the procedures. But on the website, you can find the one-page application. Is very simple to complete. And with that application, you just send it back with your 3 months bank statement, and email it to Wayne, and you can CC me on that. My email address is going to be on the website as well, and then we can get started. Usually I'll get back to you within 1 or 2 business days, and then I'll tell you what options we have. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Everything, you can find it on the website. It's very simple, and it doesn't hurt to try, because it doesn't do a hard inquiry on your credit report. So I would suggest that, you know, at the very least, have a business line of credit so you can sustain any emergencies or any unexpected repairs. Yeah, so common uses, like I mentioned, for the SBA Express, if you have any already any business loans, maybe some people are familiar with the merchant cash advance loans, they're daily payments. Those are usually one of the programs that we don't recommend people to get, because they're very, very expensive, and they don't help you build credit for the business. But unfortunately, some people already come to us with those kind of loan programs. So what we can do is we can help you refinance those into like an SBA Express loan. I know the SBA Express loan has more requirements, but that's probably going to be your best option to get out of those programs. So that's one of the uses, and other uses is just the true business loan is just to get money faster, access money faster, build credit for the business. If you have a new LLC or new corporation, you have that EIN number, you want to start establishing credit for that corporation or for that LLC. So you want to start separating your business credit from your personal credit. You know, you need repairs, you need money for repairs, you need money for, you know, hiring another driver. That program is one of the best options to start with. But I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just give me a call, and we can just kind of go over your questions individually. Um, so we'll do more options here, or more loan programs. We only handpick the best of the best that we want to offer to the members. Um, so just keep in mind that we're always adding new programs to the NTA loan program. So keep, just read the monthly newsletter that comes from Wayne, and we'll communicate that way, and we'll send out any new changes. So I think that's